Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another solo session with one of our party members. Today will be Vivra. But yeah, so just be another social session.
No.
Close enough, whatever. Solo session
The
for
opposite of a social session, it's solo.
exactly. It's playing out the events of the final week before the party leaves to go off to the east for the coronation. So yeah, there. As usual, normal introductions. I'm the Dungeon Master Zom, and our one player here today is Vivra.
Played by Rhettaliate.
But
That's
yeah,
all the intro I need this time.
yep,
It's a solo session, I don't gotta do the whole thing.
that's all you get. All right, but yeah, for the most part, like I said, full session for them taking place in the final week before everybody leaves for the coronation. But yeah, so it is a brief start off here. For you, Vivra, you are. Whoops, might help to play my music. This is why I have it playing right away, because I forget otherwise. Remember, you wake up on the morning of the trial that you know you are leaving to get ready for. As you get up and prepare yourself to get ready to leave, you do notice on your pillow is a silent princess flower. You are getting up, ready to go. Somebody must have left you a present.
Somebody left me a present, that's so cute. How do I take this with me? I feel like I should keep it.
You want to?
It's a flower. Do I have a spell or anything to hold on to this? I don't want to smush it, is the thing. I'll put it behind my ear.
There you go. That'll work.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, she's got spells. She could do something. No, she doesn't have druid craft to preserve it. She does. It's just the weirdest druid ever made.
All right. So you take the flower, put it in your ear as your last kind of moment before you get ready to head out. You leave
Is
the
Fluffy there, or has Fluffy left with Velkorin already?
whatever you assumed that Fluffy has been left with. You left Fluffy with Velkorin, and they're still with Velkorin.
Okay, so I think that in the morning, Fluffy has their own little pocket dimension that's super comfy for them. But sometimes I feel like Vivra's just like, you can sleep in the bed. And since she knows that she's gonna be gone for a week, last night she's like, oh, Fluffy, we're gonna cuddle. So she, cause she is nervous. She knows that this is a serious thing that's going to happen. So she wakes up and she sees the flower on the pillow, picks it up, and Fluffy's kind of sitting off to the side. And she says, you can walk with me to the edge of the forest, but I do want you to stay with Velkorin so that if something happens, you know, he'll know. And so Fluffy will be there.
It's probably early morning and sleeping.
Yeah, Vivra wakes up before sunrise every morning, and when Fluffy's with her, I feel like most nights he does go to his pocket dimension unless she requests he stay, because Fluffy's like, I'm not getting up when you get up. I'm gonna sleep in, I'm gonna pop out whenever I feel like. But this morning, because Vivra requested it, Fluffy's like, good morning. Because I do believe with the familiar, they can kind of communicate with each other, like with simple things through telepathy and stuff, or however it works.
So, as you head out your door, you do notice to the right of your door, Okoku is leaning against the hut or whatever you were sitting in, waiting for you.
Even as I get up earlier than usual, you're up before I am.
Or somebody else. Why?
Even in the village?
He's being sarcastic. She knew you were getting. She knows you get up early, so.
So she's like making sure she's up beforehand.
Yeah. She gets up and kind of walks with you and says, "Are you sure you're ready for this?"
Yes. I don't think. I mean, I guess I could try to be more prepared and wait even longer, but right now we're here, and it's time.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I declined it the last time you asked me. Yeah, I'm much more prepared now.
Smiles at you softly as you guys start to walk towards the edge of the forest. Different spot that you've normally been.
Is it the spot that I was meditating by, or is it even different from that?
Even different from that.
Okay.
Just thought you've been here at all. But as you guys get closer to the edge of the forest, at that point you do see that the forest guardian is waiting on the edge, waiting for you to get there.
Huh.
Turns to you and says, "As far as I can go. Guardian will be there with you, but best I can say is good luck."
Thank you. Fluffy, you can walk back with Okoku, and then she'll look at Okoku, and she'll change her language to Druidic, because it's, you know, it's a very sacred language. It's special between druids, and this is kind of her way of, you know, showing that the next thing she's saying, she's like dead serious about. And she says, "I don't know for sure how long I'll be in there. If I don't return when it's time for the others to leave, I want you to make sure that Velkorin and the group doesn't wait for me. Because they still have their tasks to do that they've been hired for. And I can always try to catch up later. Even if something happens, you know?"
Nods and responds in the same Rhettaliate language and says, "Don't worry about it."
Vivra bow very respectfully to Okoku. And
return.
And she'll give a final nod to Fluffy before turning to the Guardian, taking a deep breath and saying, "Okay, I'm ready."
Forest Guardian kind of nods, starts to lead you off into the forest.
So pretty.
You start to walk into the forest. It almost immediately gets dark, like in the picture that you can see. And nature is very quiet for a while. After you get deeper in, you can start to hear random nature sounds.
Nature sounds.
So crickets and frogs and sometimes birds, but as you go deeper into the forest, the fog thickens, sounds of animals kind of disappear. It's an eerie quiet. The forest guardian, after a while, just kind of speaks up to you in your head, because that's what we talk, and just asks you, what do you think about the trial? How are you feeling?
Sorry, I need to cough. Okay, I did not want that to be recorded. So I've been holding it, and as I started talking, I was like, no, I'm not gonna be able to talk. Okay, so she sort of pauses. Does it look kind of like what the picture is right now? Like what she's seeing, even in the
Basically just
quiet?
that thick fog, what looks like fireflies surrounding you, the cool, chilly breeze that just kind of is blowing kind of constantly, but feels like it's coming from all directions, not one specific direction. That the glittering, almost firefly-looking sparkles that you can assume either magic or forest bullshit, you don't really know. Lots of old, creepy trees all around you. Some of them you almost think there's a face on them before, and then you actually looked at the direction. It's a normal tree. Through your peripherals, it almost looks like their face. Watch
Interesting.
start to embrace lost. And just
Yeah,
like
because
before, when
she's
you
not fighting it this time.
yep, like before when you walk, when the guardian leads you every other time, you can't get your sense of direction no matter what you do.
Vivra's looking around, and the faces are discomforting, but everything else is oddly serene to her, and she says, I was terrified. If I'm being honest about it, I'm not sure this is something I would have ever truly felt ready for. But I need to stop running away from things that scare me. And this is one of the first steps. But even saying that, looking around, it's almost beautiful. I can't quite explain it right now.
And nods and kind of gives a half smirk, and this amount of people that have said the exact words he said. Not surprising.
No?
You're not the first person I've led on the track. Probably won't be the last. I've all had similar thought process as you had just now.
You lead a Koku on this trial?
He has chosen not to take. Doesn't feel she needs it. I asked her about it myself. She says, I know who I am. I don't need it. I don't need it. Basically, I understood her position, so.
Well, that makes sense. I've never really seen her as someone who is lost.
But the thing, you're only lost until you get found.
I think the thing that scares me the most is what will find me.
Only you will know what you will find at the end of your path.
Am I going to step forward without you now?
You'll know when it starts. At that point, he kind of keeps quiet for a bit as you continue to walk deeper into the forest. And as you get deeper into the woods, again, you can't really tell if you're going deeper or if you're walking in circles or if you've, like, as far as you know, you could be standing in place and just walking on a hypothetical treadmill as far as you
Treadmill,
know.
yeah. What would you call this?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you start to hear unfamiliar voice. Whispers back of your mind. Unfamiliar sounds that you can't really lock in. Odd. You remember that you're supposed to let what happens happen. So continue to push on further. what you can presume is further. Keep going further and further, deeper. It feels like you've been walking for hours, or it's been minutes, seconds. You don't know. As you keep going further, the voices start to become familiar. Recognize multiple different voices. Some voices of your family, other voices sound happy. Happy. Some sounds they're happy, some are scary. Keep going deeper and deeper. Start to hear music from your childhood. Either a song that your mother sung to you when you were young, or your father and their brothers singing while they work, whatever they do. After a while, you start to hear sounds of the Twilight Beast screaming.
As she's listening and continuing to walk, she's just kind of trying to keep her breathing steady. She isn't sure if she's supposed to follow any of the sounds. And I assume the Guardian's not reacting to any of it, right?
Just still walking in front of you.
Oh, I'm following him. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like she would keep her eyes on him as she listens, because even with all the sounds, like, she would of course instinctively want to try to follow the happier ones, but it doesn't feel like that's what this trial is. So I think for the time being, she's only going to follow the Guardian, because they said that she would know when it has begun, and she's still uncertain.
Continue to keep walking. Eventually, in your head, you hear the Guardian say, "Keep moving forward. You might not be able to see me, but I'll be here." Sounds like he starts to say something else, but his voice disappears. Guardian is also gone from your vision in front of you.
She would try to use telepathy back, even though she can't see him anymore. Because she did see him, she would hope that it will reach him and say, thank you. Just a simple thank you, really. As she continues to walk.
There's no response. So you continue to walk deeper into forest. Kind of feel your mind start to get dizzy. Your balance falters a little bit as it feels like the ground underneath you that was solid earth starts to turn into a bog. The fog starts to roll in thicker and thicker, and as you walk, feet start slowly sinking through the mud, uneven. You're trying to walk, balance, you just seem to lose your balance. Grip fall to your knees. When you're on your knees, hear the sound of a voice just slowly echoing behind.
Can I try to cast freedom of movement so that the bog doesn't weigh me down?
Doesn't seem to work when you go to cast, or I should say, when you go to speak the words of the spell. Nothing comes out of your voice.
Okay.
You need help?
Oh no.
Do you need me to call someone?
No, I'm okay. She was going to turn around, but as the voice it becomes very clear what it is, I think she keeps looking forward and starts just to try to continue to walk.
See in your peripherals the sight of what you assume is Vivra, since you didn't choose to walk or look at her directly.
You mean Perla?
Perla. What did I say?
I saw myself.
You saw yourself.
Vivra. Oh man.
Continue to trudge through the mud and the bog. The image of Perla disappears from your vision. And all noise seems to disappear.
Was probably holding her breath after saying no, I'm okay, because the moment like she heard Perla, her heart started beating really fast, and she part of her was tempted to try and face Perla, but and the other part of her like reminded herself, no, there's no way that's actually her. And trying to fight right now isn't right. And so, like, once she sees it from her once she sees Perla disappear from her peripherals, that's when she finally like exhales and allows herself to breathe again, realizing that she hadn't.
The forest goes silent. You hear another voice behind you. That's the wrong person.
You're like, whoa!
You didn't see it. Ah, wrong person.
Oh, this guy.
You hear the voice that just says, "Bring me that mask." It says, "I don't need to deal with you anymore."
That one hurts a lot. Because the memory of being totally aware and totally helpless, Vibra like clenches her teeth and like her hands kind of open and shut as she this time makes sure to take a deep breath as she keeps trying to move away from them.
Silence is broken now. Of rustling leaves, Liat is nowhere to be seen. You continue to move. The woods start to grow dense around you. Tall bushes grow next to you, vines covered in vines and thorn. And you make a dexterity check.
Disadvantage. Okay, because I'm in the bog. Okay. It's a check or a saving. Oh, it doesn't matter. Same thing. It's just dexterity?
Yep.
Okay. That's a 9. Not great. Not the worst she could have rolled, but not great.
Continue to try to push your way forward. Stuck in the mud. The vines kind of grab onto your clothes. The thorns grab your clothes. Got a few scrapes. You continue to try to push through. Eventually, you find solid ground again. Continue to walk deeper into the forest. Come to a bit of an opening. There seems to be thousands of different forested paths, marked by different archways of tree branches and roots and vines. Infinite choices around you.
If they're infinite, then it's impossible to look at each one. But she wasn't able to cast a spell before, so she kind of takes that as she probably shouldn't, or it's simply part of the trial to not have access.
Moment. Perla familiar but also unfamiliar voice. Just as in life, there are often many choices. Maybe overwhelming to walk. Sometimes find yourself first before venturing into the unknown. And the forest shifts around you, converging into from infinite path to just 3. 2 clearly marked natural archways that have different changing seasons or scenery behind them. And then there's a third archway behind you that is dark, or there is no arch. Dark and foggy, filled with briars, vines, poisonous looking plants.
I think Vivra would want to go like up to each one without stepping into the path to see if there's anything she can learn before having to make a choice.
Let's step into the clearing where you're standing walled by the dense forest. Your left side, the arch-like opening in the trees, framed with spray branches and road. Right is another identical archway. Behind you, I already said this, but like I said, behind you, you see the foggy path with tangles, briars, and vines. And in this circular clearing where you are standing, there's bushes that have fresh berries. There's a small pond of fresh water. Stone slab in the center. Looks almost like a bench in a way, with an animal hide that's draped over. The natural spring is clear, as far as you can probably pure water to get. Off to the sides, you can see more towards the left side. You can see some wildflowers growing near the clearing. And bunnies jump through, hopping around into the bushes off to the right. Also, some feathers near some of the trees on the right. Again, you hear feminine voice that's comforting but also severe. The voice that, like I said before, seems very familiar but so weirdly unfamiliar at the same time. The voice speaks up, asks, "Who are you?"
Vivra looks around at all the things in the clearing, and at first she's confused because everyone else the few people that she's known to get pulled into the forest have had essentially terrible experiences, and hers so far, in her mind, comparatively, has been very mild, and now she's in this pleasant area, and as she looks at all the items and all the things running around her, she ponders the question and says, "Are you asking for my name or who I'm meant to be?"
Once again, "Who are you?"
"I'm Vivra."
Moment speaks up again. "Who do you want?"
She pauses again as she tries to think about everything that's led her to this moment. And I want to be someone, and she remembers that Okoku told her to just be honest with herself, and she says, I want to be someone that even I could be proud of. It does. Sorry, no, it's fine.
Nope.
It doesn't necessarily matter what I end up becoming or end up doing with my life. But I'm tired of hating myself for everything I've done.
Voice response, yeah. That there are no wrong answers. Only your truth. Back of your head, do you hear familiar voice, Forest Guardian? Say, keep going. You here to have a moment to yourself. Look around in the space that you're in.
Can she see what kind of flowers are in the flower patch? Or what specific animal the pelt is?
The pelt seems to be a pelt of a wolf. The flowers are a mixture of different flowers, but they are mostly unfamiliar to you. Some time passes. The voice speaks up again in your head. Let us begin with a choice more simple. Feel a warm breeze that rustles through the flowers towards the left path. Sound of distant chimes twinkling and leaves rustling under a gentle rainfall. Right, you can hear sounds of crickets and frogs chirping. And off to the distance, you can see a small red frog that's chasing a butterfly down right. Path behind you remains foggy, quiet din of imperceptible whispers.
Whisters.
You do.
Vivra's mind, it feels like the correct path is the one that's the least obvious, which would be the brambles, because it's the scariest path. But she's not sure if going forward means going back as well. Hearing the wind chimes makes her think of home. And after a moment, she speaks out, hoping that whoever is guiding her will hear, and she says, "Will I have an opportunity to explore each path, or must I pick one now?"
The voice stays silent.
though it's tempting to try and go home or to try and go towards the... You said it was a young Korok? On the right?
For which,
Or a young
on the right was a fox.
A fox.
Red fox chasing a butterfly.
Oh. Okay, I'm glad I asked because I misheard that fully. Oh. I'm thinking real hard about this.
Come on, this is the simple choice.
This is the simple choice? This is the simple choice?
What the voice told you.
Here's the thing. Now that I know that it's a fox, that's gonna be the thing that's like she feels like going, because it's the quote road less traveled or the most difficult looking choice, it's the one that would probably challenge her the most. But seeing the fox, it's like that's part of herself that she knows she's been pushing away. And so I think she'll follow the fox in the end.
Choosing the right.
Yes.
You step forward. Hear all the sounds of the nature. You start to walk down the right path. Lively but peaceful woodland path. Dusk all around you. You can hear all the various sounds of all the critters and crickets, birds, everything mingling together. Frog, cricket, wolf, owls. Occasionally you hear a howl. Small animals occasionally dart out between the bushes in front of you as you keep walking. Duckling through uplifted root trees and fallen branches. Disappear into the bush and yeah. Surrounding nature is mostly made up of brush, briar, berry bushes, and vine. Winds and leads back. Same place. Just
Interesting.
the door. Now you are come into this nexus of voice again. The time of day shifts into twilight. The sun starts to set. See off in the distance, gathering around the edges of the tree line. Shadow beams. One by one, more and more get closer to the edge, slowly over time. Keep creeping closer, staying into the shadows, under the trees, heavily wooded borders. Oh. They're waiting for night. Seem like they are an immediate threat. That looming danger waiting to strike. Area feels uneasy and tense. You look forward to archways. And the archway, or the three paths again. To your left, the archway, it's the beam of sunlight cascading into a slowly darkening meadow clearing. The dirt road carving through the hilly grass field, being traveled by many common people, common folk. Sunny and warm, the people seem friendly, and the path is safe. Everything feels unfamiliar, unknown to you. Time you blink, the road looks slightly different. Blink again, the travelers keep changing, unrecognizable, keep changing every time you blink. One of these kind strangers likely could get you to safety. Look to the right. Through that archway, the moonlight seems to already be spilling through into the twilight meadow that you're standing in. The night approaches closer to you in that pathway. It is already nightfall. Cold with a low, thin fog, just enough to obscure your vision. The path tangled, weaving through bushes of burrs and briars. There's roots lifting out of the ground, fallen trees obscuring the path. Woodland predators lurk in the dark, waiting for them. The rain is heavily falling. You can hear sound, thunder, and lightning, making the dark unstable and muddy. Despite all the risks, the path you know well, familiar, the rain will obscure your scent. You might be able to shake your enemies through this perilous but familiar route. Only rely on yourself. The path behind you remains foggy, quiet din, imperceptible whisper.
While the path to the left has light and therefore would be potentially less alluring to the shadow beasts because of its brightness, Vivra isn't one to trust people she doesn't know. She isn't certain that she would be safer from the shadow beasts than from people that she doesn't know, because she's experienced danger with both. With wild animals, she's experienced being able to calm them, to speak with them, and, if need be, to avoid them. So to her, even though being alone again is still terrifying, it feels like the more logical option. And she hates that there's thunder, but given everything else, I think she would go to that path.
The right path.
Again, yes.
You start to walk through the right archway. Feel your form immediately shift out of your wolf form. And
Amazing.
the shadow beast give chase. You immediately lurch off, sprinting and through the forest, ducking and weaving through the branches. Thorn. Gotta click.
Okay.
Right. Angry noises.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. They'll go through in a sec. So, as you sprint off in the form of your wolf, you're ducking and dodging and weaving through the branches, the thorns, the mud. Dodge what looks to be hunters' traps, net traps, bear traps, all. It's the looming feeling of being hunted. Your heart is pounding. You can feel the thorns scrape your hide as you continue, keep sprinting on. Your muscles pounding, the adrenaline pumping through you. Only rely on yourself. Move over. And feel the looming sense of the shadow beast watching you and chasing you. So that feeling grows stronger. Feels like these beasts are breathing down your neck. And then a tree in front of you is struck by lightning and begins to fall. See it fall, you push yourself even further and sprint ahead, just barely managing to dodge through it as the tree falls. Some of the shadow beasts chase. You have a brief minute of feeling relieved. Just gets overpowered by this aching feeling. You're exhausted. You were full sprinting through.
Pushing
Ooh.
past my limit.
Start to limp the rest of the way down the path. Path starts to clear. Brought back into the same center again. Shift back to your humanoid. But too many things.
Good. All good. So she's just back in the clearing, and it's calm. There's no shadow beast chasing her at this point.
I have the right thing.
I love your little icon, by the way.
Yeah, did it.
The...
There.
Yeah, it's fancy. Ooh.
Seem to be, as you finally emerge into that clearing, meadow that you've seen twice now. See that the forest guardian standing there waiting for you in this. While up until now you couldn't see the guardian, you could only hear his voice. An overlap between the reality, liminal tribe.
Are you actually here? She asks.
I never left.
This trial's... The voice said there's no wrong choices, but if that's the case, why give me a choice at all?
There is no wrong choice. But your goal, find yourself. So your choices will lead to that you are looking for. That's why there is no wrong.
But then... With my first choice, I feel like I still took the easy path. The second one was less so, but... I don't know.
We have a moment for you to rest. Tell me what you have been experiencing in your life recently. Companion.
You mean since Okoku sent me away?
Think of your companion. Can you trust?
That's just the thing. I feel like I only really trust one of them. And the crazy thing is, even that doesn't necessarily feel like the right choice. When it comes to how I feel, I've never truly been sure of it. Because I just keep making mistakes despite it.
Don't you feel haven't gotten close with the other?
First, it was because I didn't want to. I chose to have disdain over them because I didn't want to get close to anyone. Because, well, when you're alone, the only person that can hurt you is yourself. And now, as I'm learning more about them, there's so many secrets. But even saying that right now, I know I'm a hypocrite because I haven't really told them about me either.
You want to do the try.
I want to stop lying about who I really am. And I want a real sense of purpose. I'm tired of running away from everything. I'm tired of being a coward. And her head lowers and her lip quivers as she fights the urge to cry.
Seems. Give you a moment for your thoughts. Again. Have you lost so far?
Lost?
Yes. You lost. How was it affected?
I've lost everything. My friends, my family. Someone I used to love. And even when I almost had a new friend, I lost her too.
Happened to her?
It's difficult to say. She was here, but not really. Because she was already dead. Still hurts to know that she's gone.
Kind of lingers at that question for a moment as hand kind of raises up to the flower that was in his head. He remembers the person who gave him that flower. Who do you want to become?
I want to become such a simple answer. I mean, question, I should say. But the answer, it doesn't feel so simple. I want to become someone people can rely on. I want to be able to protect the people I care about. so that I don't have to lose anyone again.
Moment. Up. Because you heard there are no wrong. You're here to find yourself. Let those choices reflect on the person you want to be. You want it,
How can I?
that person's already a part of it. One
How can I-
here to judge except yourself. Keep interrupting. Sorry.
No, I said, see, because there's a pause, and I give the pause,
know.
and I'm like, now's the moment,
No,
and then
no.
it's not because you had more than to say. I should just give you more time each time.
Here.
You want me to go?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. This is it happens in improv. This is improv, folks. It's not scripted, so
Okay, the
well,
last,
my end isn't.
the last words. There is no one here to judge except yourself.
I have to say that I'm my own worst judge, but when it comes to choosing who I want to be, how can I really decide in simply a moment? Becoming someone takes time. So, while I think this trial can be a step towards that, I don't want it to truly define who I'm going to become. I want to figure that out with the people I care about. Because the one thing I'm sure of is I don't want to be alone. I don't think I ever really did. I've just been scared.
This trial won't change. You can change.
Walk through the last door with me.
You say that. The time of day rapidly shifts into night. Guardian also starts to fade away.
I
It's
understand.
replaced by a bunch of fireflies. Where he was. You are alone. But at the very back of your head, you hear, this just means looking inward. What you do with your experience is your own. You are alone again. The night starts to fall. In the clearing, the Arn, your brother, casually walk past your field of view towards the left archway. Despite being so close, his voice sounds just wavering as he says, "Wait for me, Zant." The left archway, you can see Zant waiting for Karn to catch. Zant replies, "Hurry up. She's home making dinner already." They both look the way that you remember last seeing them before you were separated. Both begin to walk off down the path leading to a quaint farmstead. From the right, you hear the distant, wavering voice of Pearl.
Now, Sunshine, you understand the importance of my little trip to Hyrule. But let's keep this between us. I have big plans for this relic, and we can both reap the rewards.
We'll see that Liat is standing next to her with the heavy tome in his hand and a lavish library lit up with blue lantern. And he replied, "That little adventuring group gonna get in your way?"
I'd love to see them try.
Liat just leans down, gives Perla a kiss before he walks away while reading his tome. Perla is alone, unguarded, unsuspected, vulnerable. The path behind you remains foggy, quiet din of imperceptible whispers. Way do you choose?
Seeing her brothers, she almost immediately sprints that way. And then she pauses as she hears the other conversation. There is an anger within her, hearing them talking about the group the way they are. And for just a moment, through that anger, her features almost start to become more animalistic. But then for some reason, she hesitates. She just watches Perla sitting there alone. And she realizes that even if this scenario isn't real, even if it was real, she doesn't think she could just attack someone. Even someone that hurt her brother. Because that's not what her brother would have wanted. There's still this feeling. It would be so easy to follow her brothers, see her family again, but it's not real. This isn't a piece of her past, and a piece of her potential future isn't. It's not where she is now. And she turns and runs into the brambles behind her.
Path behind you is cold and dark, full of dead trees, dry, thorny bushes and vines. You traverse this path, you feel thousands of eyes on you. Are their prey. Thorns lash out at you, vines pull you in opposite directions. You see visions of something terrible. Your vision throbs with a red intensity in your mind. You blink, and there's a close-up flash of Xant. His eyes filled with hatred. He yells, splatters of blood all across your face, in your vision. And you see him in his face. He starts to grin, laugh, with blood all over his face. Hear the sound of his boot stepping down on an unidentified corpse that he has just slain.
Is this her brother?
Yes.
Okay.
You're being pushed and pulled through this path. You stumble back into the same clearing you were just. Points of psychic damage.
Ow.
And 4 points of piercing damage from the thorn.
Okay, so yeah, 14.
Back in the same clearing archway you have. The paths are identical where you just saw. On the left is still your brother. On the right is Pearl.
If there are no wrong answers, why did that one... First off, why did it hurt? And second, why am I back here?
The world is silent.
Sighs, and there's a moment of irritation as she's learning the selectiveness of this being that speaks to her, and sort of trying to learn the real truth to their words and whatnot. And even though she doesn't think they'll respond, she asks another question saying, was that a potential future? Something that's already happened? Or just something else to get in my mind?
What remains left?
Fine. She looks to the two paths. And her heart hurts as she knows, once again, she could so easily just go to the path, see her brothers, and potentially her mom making dinner. But it feels like past and future to her. And if this forest is as powerful as it is, this might actually potentially provide insight. She understands that it very well could simply be a scenario within her own mind. But she's going to go to the right again, to where Perla is. She's terrified right now, but she's genuinely so scared. Like,
Okay.
Part of her thinking about it was her procrastinating a little bit. She's like, it would be so easy to go to the left. It would be so... No, but I have to focus on the trial. Going to the past isn't gonna help right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of where her mind's at.
Unmuted this time? I am. Good. Okay.
You are. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. And just like before, you start to step through the right path. Feel your form shift. That of a wolf again. You slowly start to creep up behind Perla. Very quietly walking deeper into the forest, following Perla. Also goes deeper. You can see the night sky through an opening window. Perla stands next to an ornate fireplace, reaches up for a book. The firelight casting a dark, long shadows sway uncomfortably with the dancing flames. In that brief moment, you lunge from the shadow, your teeth snapping into Perla's neck. You slam her down into the ground, your feral rage taking over. Continue to strike her constantly with her claws, your teeth, the sounds
And
of ripping and tearing.
I can't seem to fight this. It just happens.
Feral instincts seem to take over.
Okay.
Barely makes a sound with the wounds sustained on her throat. To the distance, you hear footsteps approaching from the hallway. Taste of blood in your mouth, dripping from your teeth. You look back at the open window, make a quick escape. Feeling of both victory, but an overwhelming feeling of shame as well. You continue running into the dark night, taking a sharp turn. Following the path leads you back to the woods, back in front of the paths again, as your form shifts back to human.
Is the blood gone?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Find yourself back in this meadow again. Shadowy figures walk past you on all sides. Fairly-
My picture.
Oh.
My picture.
Oh. I clicked Akari, that's why. Oops.
I
Thank
see.
you.
I was like, where am I?
You arrive in the meadow again. There are shadowy figures all around your side, walking past you. Barely visible among the crowd of shadows. You see Demira speaking with one of them. Without any words, understand the context of the conversation that they're having, even though the details are lacking. Shadowy figure makes misleading suggestion, tells her beautiful lie, appeals to her with honeyed words and a silver tongue. Poor, naive Demira, easily manipulated by the figure, plays right into their hands. So obvious to you that the shadow is putting on a facade just to win over Demira.
Can I try to move forward towards them?
You think, what do you feel right?
Seeing just how easily manipulated she is. Vivra knew this already. She knew Demira was naive, but seeing a stranger talking to her in such a way and just convincing her, there's this odd sense. Vivra doesn't know Demira very well, but there's this odd sense of terror of, like, this person can take Demira away. And she reaches out and tries to shout, Demira, don't listen to them.
Or you can even approach. You suddenly realize that wasn't Demira. It was you. Shadowy figures continue to speak to yourself. Several more figures join in the conversation. The figures are surrounding her. She finds herself wanting to play around. Do whatever they ask. Even though she knows it's manipulation. You think, what are you feeling?
Seeing turn into her, she immediately paused and gasped. And as she watches it go from being one silhouette to several speaking to her, though it's been years, the first thing she thinks of is her old friend group from back home. And to Cardell, a man that she in a way, still cares about despite everything that he's done. And then she thinks about the way Velkorin talks to Demira. And it terrifies her as she backs away from them.
In your head, you hear the voice, that feminine voice from before, as it asks you, did you react differently? Your response. But it was
Because Demira doesn't deserve that.
you? Anyone?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't deserve anything that I have brought upon myself. But she doesn't know any better. That's why it's different.
Did you? Shadowy figures start to fade away, but some of them remain. A small group of shadows start to walk towards the right path and wait at the archway. One of them beckons you to join them. It'll be fun. The right thing to do. Why shouldn't you go with them? They're friends. Left path. A glowing third eye rune, symbol of truth and wisdom, appears on the archway. Oh, shadowy figures on the left side. Path behind you remains foggy, with quiet din of imperceptible whispers.
She hates that a large part of her actually wants to follow the shadowed figures. If only to see what's behind there. To see if they are who she thinks they are, or if they'll turn into something else. She also hated that last time when she turned back and went through the brambles, it hurt and simply brought her back to the same place. Which to her felt like that meant it was the wrong choice, even though she did also get a horrifying image that might be telling her something. The obvious choice to her feels like the Eye of Wisdom. And she's been fighting the obvious choices up to this point. Because in her head, she's been like, the trial isn't about easy choices, it's not about the obvious one. But she also overthinks a lot.
Bill is about discovering herself.
She's been trying to game this trial, and she's aware of that.
Right.
I think this time she's going to turn away from the shadowed figures and go to the Eye of Wisdom.
He left.
Yes.
There. Oh, powering. All right.
Wind chimes?
Yes.
They're very subtle. It's nice.
The plane. All right. You
Oh my gosh.
shake off the temptations to go over to the shadowy group, and instead you steadily walk towards the left path. And as you pass through that glowing rune, feel a sense of clarity, but also heartache. Feels lonely at first, but there's a soft shimmering sound falling behind you. Glowing white figures timidly following in your footsteps towards the truth. You're leading them away from those who would have manipulated them as well. You roll an insight check.
Just flat.
Yeah, just an insight check. Normal.
Teen.
13. What? 13 what?
13.
13.
Discord's being finicky
There
again.
we go. Alright. Roll a 13. As you get a closer look, you notice that one of these glowing figures bears a vague resemblance to Demira. Continue walking down the path. Further. The path leads you back again to this meadow in the woods again.
Do the glowing figures fade away, or do they remain in the meadow?
Take it away. And as you approach the meadow again, see a figure is sitting on the stone slab, facing away from you. A man who you recognize seemed to be feeding the chipmunk and humming a familiar tune from your childhood. Back of your brother.
Discord. Thank you. Jeepers. So I literally I said his name and Discord was like, no, you didn't. Anyway, okay, so I'll just repeat myself. Zorak? She says out loud.
See him perk up a bit and turn to look at you and just smile.
Does he have the new scar this time?
No. I don't have art of the old picture, but it is the Zorak you knew before you saw him.
I think, Vivra would... At first, she fights the urge to go hug him. But after thinking about it for a moment, she thinks that there's probably no harm in doing so. And so she'll go up and offer him a hug.
Stands up, smiles at you as he returns the hug. Says it's good to see you, Vivra.
I miss you a lot.
You.
But how can you? And just saying those words, like, hurts because, she still didn't quite want to admit that he's gone, even though she knows that he is. And so just saying that almost felt like an admittance to her, because she knows this isn't the real Zorak, as far as she knows.
And holds you in the embrace for a while. Even with the comment that you made. For a minute, he steps back a bit and just kind of holds your hands for a minute. Says, "Are you okay?"
She pauses. know. But I'm gonna be. I'll make sure of it.
Seems like he is giving you an opportunity to ask a question.
She was thinking for a moment, and... Do you have the memories of Zorek? Or are you just what I remember?
Brother.
Can I roll an insight check?
Yes.
D12, 1 second. 16. Yes.
Trying to gauge if this is your actual brother or not.
Yeah, if maybe his soul is here to guide me, or if it is truly what Vivra is starting to assume, which is either is memories gleaned of what she knows of him, because he isn't scarred currently, but why wouldn't he be?
To say that you're touching him feels real. He looks just like you remembered, minus the scar, but still feels real to you.
Okay.
Or not. It actually is. You're not quite sure, but it's real enough in your mind.
Okay.
Ask you, what are you doing here?
I'm trying to find myself. What are you doing here?
You?
You knew I'd be here?
Inkling, thought. Something told me to be here. So I came.
Where did you come from?
Don't know.
You don't know? You can't remember? Or you can't say?
He is somewhat struggling. Quest.
It's okay.
I knew you needed help.
Do you know where Karn and Zant are?
Both safe.
Where are they safe?
Know as they are both alive.
And our parents?
Fortunately, no. They passed. Fire.
Fire?
Beast attack.
Really? It was really that bad?
Entirety of the barn was burned.
So... She struggles to find words for a moment. And with her emotions already being on edge, it's a little too easy to start crying again.
Reaches out and hugs you again. His embrace feeling is real as it would if a real person was holding you.
She would hug him tightly. And she's not sure how much time they have. And so part of her wants to force herself to think of questions, ask him more things, talk about anything, but it's hard to do so when you can't stop crying.
For a moment, he just speaks up and says, "What happened there? Nothing could have prevented it. Nothing you could have done. Nothing is your fault."
But I didn't stay.
I told you to go.
I know. I
Just your brother.
and I'm alive because of it.
You regret your choice?
Yes.
Would you change?
Oh. Done has led me to here and has kept me alive. But no, because even if I want to believe I could have done more or saved our parents or anything, I don't think the outcome would have changed.
After a minute. What about your choice here?
In this trial,
Change.
she pauses again.
And feel in your mind flash of each trial or choice you've made and the opposite choice you could make. Almost as if giving you a sense that your last chance to change your mind.
Yes, one. If I had known that going through the door would have meant me killing Perla, even though it's, whether or not it's real, it felt real. And I shouldn't have pursued that. I should have gone to Karn and Zant.
Nods at you. Or hug. You remember that. I'm proud of you.
I just stopped crying.
Or crying again.
She actually says that, and it's meant to be sort of half joking, but she does start crying again.
There she is. Puts his hand on her cheek for a minute as she look up at him. Just, how could you ever think that I wouldn't be?
Done bad things. Terrible things.
My sister.
love you, Zorak.
You, Vivra. Are you ready?
Feels like an ending. You're gonna have to go again, aren't you?
I'll wait with you.
She glances down to the spearhead that Okoku helped tie to her waist. I know. Takes a deep breath. Okay.
Come who you want to be. Bennett from your sight. In your head, that same voice from before says, trial is nearly over, Vivra. Time to move forward.
She has two choices again, or? Oh
I'm
my
working
gosh!
on it. I'm working on it. I'm gonna click things.
Holy smokes. Literally. There's smoke. Oh my goodness. I almost started crying.
Good. You say to Zorak that you're ready, and you hear the voice speak that you're almost done. You need to continue moving forward. You can see delicate red sparks and particles of ash drift through your field of vision, carried by a warm breeze that hotter. Sound of fire crackling in the distance starts to pick up, while the meadow is enveloped in this reddish glow, making it unclear what time of day it is. Some stray sparks land on the foliage in the tree line, and slowly the fire starts to spread in. You can see shadow beasts start to climb out the flickering shadows, immediately feeling more hostile. This right here is shouting and screams from the archway to the left. Through it, you can see your childhood farmstead set aflame like you remember it. Zorak is no longer sitting with you like he was. Calls for help echo out from the right archway. The left archway bursts into flame. Sorry. Help echoes from the left, not the right. Sorry. I'm describing the left.
I got confused. Wait a second. I was like, hang on, scream from the right and burning from the left. Oh, you're putting me in a
Everything's
position.
on fire.
Everything.
The left.
Both archways explode.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
The left archway bursts into flame. The dense tree line of forest that surrounds the meadow is now engulfed in flames and is slowly closing you in a ring of fire. You can see that the right archway has caught fire as well, but it rapidly turns to charcoal no longer on. The space within the right archway is filled with a familiar, shimmering, rippling portal. Blurry desert landscape that can be seen on the other side. Then behind you, Zorak calmly stands to the pathway behind. Flames seem a little less intense behind. Not speaking anything, just standing there. The longer you wait, the more the flames start to grow around you. The encroaching flames.
Can I try to create water on them?
Try to make your spell activate. Nothing up.
So,
More
Z-
more beasts
Zorik.
start to grow or crawl out of the shadow.
Oh my gosh, terrifying. Uh, she sees Zorik standing silently in front of the third path, and she says, "Will you say something?"
Hear the screams echo louder, more panic on the left side. Fire rate louder.
She just talked to Zorik about how she wouldn't have changed her decision. And now she sees a potential opportunity to do so.
Your mind, the Forest Guardians say, keep moving forward. Oh, a little more concerned this time. Actually have a dex save right.
Okay. 16.
Managed to dodge out of the way as one of the shadow beasts lunges at you and dashes back into the shadow. The longer you wait, you see the more these flames seem to roar on, the circle closing in on itself slowly. More and more of these shadows keep appearing in all of the shadows around you.
She is going to grab Zorik's hand and try to pull him with her through the brambles. Away from the fire.
Going back.
Yeah, she's, it feels like Zorik's blocking the path. And she doesn't want to just leave him there. But the fire is filling more of the space. And she knows that the last time she went back, she returned to the space, but part of her hopes maybe bringing Zorik with her will change something.
As you start to dash to the path behind you, grabbed Xanth's hand, which followed for a second, but then all of a sudden your hand fades
It's not
through
Zorik
him.
anymore?
Did I say Zorik?
Wait.
What did I say?
Yeah, wait, it's Xanth?
It's supposed to be Zorik, sorry. I said the wrong word.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
read
was
something.
like, it's been a trick!
I read something as I was looking. My bad.
Oh my gosh.
You grab Zorik, start to run back the way you came again. Your hand fades through. You see Zorak still standing there, fire. You continue down the path you started to run. Held to keep moving that direction.
I even if she tries to stop, she's pushed forward at this point.
Flames.
Because she took the steps.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like in her head she'd be like, why am I still running? He didn't go with me. Go back. But like her body doesn't stop moving.
You see as you look behind you, the path is now engulfed in flames from the dead trees, dry, thorny bushes, and the vines you saw before. You travel down this path, you feel that familiar feeling. Thousands of eyes watch their prey. Feel thorns lash out at you again, pulling you in opposite directions. The vision of something terrible. Your vision feels electric freaks of crackling yellow energy around, flashing in the corners of your thoughts. Fighting against Karn this time.
Oh.
Flashes again as you blink, as the scene continues to play out in front of you. Karn braces and yells, "Stop this!" as Xanth's great axe approaches him. At the same time as the great axe comes down on Karn, a large branch falls. You hear Zant respond, the sadistic but yet teasing throne. But why? You started being pulled through this path, stumble out back, Nexus choice again. Same choice you had before. Flames have receded to where it was when you walked to the start. Math is hard. Will take 36 points. Psychic and bludgeoning
Okay.
damage
Ouch!
as you have returned
Oh, I'm bloodied.
return to the choice again.
She grips her arm where one of the branches struck her particularly badly, as I assume since the damage doesn't go away, she is bleeding now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whether or not you actually really sure.
As far as she's aware,
as
it's
you are-
real.
As
Yeah.
far as you can see,
And I assume the fire starts spreading again. She has this weirdly overwhelming urge to run back through the rambles again because she got a different vision. But she's not sure if she'd make it out doing so a third time, especially with how badly wounded she feels like she is. With
as
how
you approach the meadow the third time, or the second, yeah, hear the voice speak up. Where'd it go?
no rush. I'm just dying a little bit, that's all. No.
Dying. I scrolled too far, now I lost my place.
Okay. It happens. Like I said, this is essentially live because it's improv.
So the spirit speaks up again and tells you path behind you is an exit, not a choice. Keep moving forward. Flame starts to rage around.
At this point,
You.
she's going to run for the desert portal.
Right. So you run to the right side. You fall through the portal. Sounds of the fire, screaming, and the shadow beasts all fade away. All you hear is the sound of strong desert wind just pushing and whipping past your ears. You emerge from the portal, you tumble down a sand dune, hit your head on a rock, landing prone.
Oh.
You're alone in this vast desert. Your head throbs, your vision starts to blur, go black. You pass out from the wound. wake up. Or you awaken within the dense forest again. Small clearing of grass, a large cracked boulder surrounded by smaller stone. A beam of sunlight illuminates the stone, and a red and brown robes are draped, presented on top of this boulder.
Is my head okay now?
Fine.
I walk up and inspect the clothing presented.
As you walk down to look at the clothing, the fox jumps out of the tree line and playfully snatches your display cloak off of your shoulder, pulling it into the forest.
Wait! I don't have speak with animals.
Second later, though, the same fox returns with a deep forest green cloak with silver embroidery. There's a silver clasp bearing the mark of Feor on it. Wolf comes out of the woods and approaches you.
This point feels like her magic's not gonna work at all, but she's still gonna try to cast Speak with Animals.
Wolf walks up to you and actually pokes its nose right on your lone wolf ring. It starts to shine and glow. Feels different. Hear the voice that you recognize from before. Oh. You have succeeded. Hopefully, this helps discover what you want to be.
She glances around, looks back down at her ring, and to the wolf, and sort of gently holds two hands out to sort of gently cup under the wolf's chin. She puts her head to it and says, "Thank you for whatever you've done."
Sits its chin in your hand. Tail is wagging.
Yeah.
Looks up to you.
She's speaking in Druidic as well.
This wolf is similar looking to what your wolf looks like almost, except you can see almost what looks like different foliage and woods. Seems to be a wolf of the Lost Woods way. Almost feels like nature has imbued itself with this wolf. Your head again, you hear the spirit speak up. For a moment you forgot what the purpose of this test was. Trying to win when there is no winning or losing. Only moving forward.
Yes. Thank you as well. And she kind of looks around as after standing up and sort of moving her hands away from the wolf. And then she now turns to the fox who's holding it. Has it dropped the cloak, or is it just is it
looking
still
up
there?
at you holding it.
Just looking up. This time, she fully kneels and tilts her head and says in Druidic, "Since you took my cloak, clever fox, I'm guessing this one's for me."
Nods and drops it in your hand.
She'll take a moment before getting up to actually put it on, clasp it around her. And once it's clicked into place, she'll do the same thing with the fox, but there's almost more cheekiness in her voice in the way she talks to the fox, as she says, "I'm not sure why you felt the need to present it to me this way, but thank you for whatever you've done regardless."
Don't hear a response. You get a sense of understanding. Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement past the tribe.
She stands up again, looks forward, because I believe there's the wolf to her right and the fox to her left. And she says, "So I just need to find my way back now, yes?"
Both the wolf and fox seem to be following behind you, if wanting you to lead the way.
She sort of nods, allowing them to follow along. Internally, she's really happy for the company at this point, and grateful that they're willing to follow her, regardless of however long it might be in this moment, as she just kind of sort of walks. And it is with a bit more purpose that she's walking, but it's also, she's not trying to rush her way through or figure anything out anymore, or, you know, use insight checks, for lack of a better way of describing it, to be like, what's the real motive here? How do I gauge this?
Odd, because after you put on the cloak that you got, the wolf or the fox, start to walk through the forest, you realize where you're going, but feel that it's the right way. That feeling of confusion that you've had every time you've come into the lost. Continue to walk down your path with the wolf and fox following behind you.
There's a sense of calming peace to it as well that I don't think Vivra's felt in quite a long time.
Continue to walk your path. After a while, you glance behind you and notice that wolf and fox are gone. The world starts to light up. You can see off the distance is the forest starting, waiting for you. That is you walking out of the forest, meeting the forest.
Am I still cut up?
Nope.
Oh,
You're fine.
interesting. Okay.
I mean, you still took the psychic damage.
She should take a nap.
You are.
But yeah, my head's a little fuzzy, but
You survived.
I survived. There was never a doubt in my
Never a
mind.
doubt in my mind either. You only had one more failure on you. That's okay.
I failed twice.
Yes, you
Oh,
did.
going back, wasn't it?
Maybe. But yeah, we'll finish up
She's
there.
so close, almost did.
Exactly. We'll finish up there, guys, and we'll pick back up on the live session where we will see what kind of goodies that Vivra managed to get. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Jaxi,
With us for walking with me.
for walking. Thanks, Jaxi, for voicing two lines for me.
Oh yeah, that
Dylan's most
when you
needed
unmuted.
But yeah. So yeah, we will
Terrifying.
see you guys on the live stream next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.